See, he asked, there are reports that Stanton's elbow problem has come back with it. It hasn't come back. It's been there.
It's never left.
You are Locked On Yankees, your daily New York Yankees podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Yankees, which is part of the Locked On Podcast Network, the #1 sports podcast network in the country. I'm Stacey Gotsoulias alongside Brian McKeon. Thank you for making Locked On Yankees your first listen every day. Brian, it's Friday.
Yes, thank God it's Friday. TGIF.
Yes. You ever see that movie? Probably not.
No, just heard the saying. I didn't know there was a movie.
1978 was a disco movie.
Yeah, sounds right for the timeline.
Yeah, Jeff Goldblum was in it. It was interesting. Yeah. All right, well, coming up on today's show, it's Fan Mail Friday. We do this every week. We answer your burning Yankee questions. But first, we're doing something a little different here because one of the Fan Mail Friday questions has to do with Giancarlo Stanton, and it comes from insider Richard. It says, there are reports that Stanton's elbow problem has come back with a vengeance. Is there any truth to this? Why wasn't this mentioned? If it is true, could this be why the Yankees are looking for another outfield bat? First of all, I'd like to thank Randy Miller for doing what he did by making, well, it probably wasn't him. It's probably whoever works at NJ.com that does the headlines. Yes, Stanton's elbows are not in a great, position. They don't feel well, but it's the same thing he felt last year. He's just always going to feel this in his elbows. It's not a new thing. They are not pushing him out right away, but he plans on playing as much as possible. I hate that this happened. It bothers me so much.
Yeah, thank you for clarifying, because people took this and ran with it on Thursday, saying that the elbow injury, like the original question here from Richard, I'm not begrudging Richard by any means, but see, he asked, there are reports that Stanton's elbow problem has come back with it. It hasn't come back. It's been there.
It's never left.
Yep, he had it last spring training. He had it through the offseason. He had it through the postseason last year, and now he's got it again. It's the same problem. And it sounds like one of those things he'll probably get it operated on or have some procedure done to it once he retires. Yeah. But he's going to deal with this the rest of his career, more than likely. And you know what? He had pretty good numbers last year from when he played. So I don't think it really affects his play that much. Yes, there are people going crazy with the comments about he can't open a bag of chips and opening a bottle of water and all those things that kind of got overblown a little bit. He can still play baseball. And to be honest with you, and this might sound selfish or sports fandom, and that's fine. That's what I am. I don't care if Giancarlo Stanton can open a bag of chips. And by looking at Giancarlo Stanton's physique, I don't think he's eating bags of chips too often. So it doesn't really matter to me too much. Can he swing a bat? The answer is yes. That's all that really matters to me.
Yeah. Yeah. I was when I saw that, and then I looked at the article because I first saw it on Reddit and I thought, oh, here we go. And then when I read everything, I was, like I said, I was livid because I can't stand when they do this clickbaity nonsense to make everyone crazy.
Yep.
And then people come out against him. Why is he playing? I don't like it at all. I don't like that practice. It annoys me.
He's an athlete that I've never understood gets the hate, why he gets the hate that he gets.
Right.
He's done nothing but perform with the Yankees. He's never had any remote scandal trouble behind him whatsoever.
No.
He's literally always said the right thing to the media. He has never said anything off color.
And he's always accountable too.
He always holds himself accountable, holds the team accountable. He's a leader in that clubhouse. I've never understood the hate that he gets. It's so unwarranted and undeserving, yet he gets it all the time. And he deals with it better than anyone too.
Yeah.
He's dealt with struggles better than anyone. He never makes the wrong comment. I just, I don't know. I don't know what Giancarlo Stanton. The injuries, they stink. Yeah, he's an injury-riddled player. But you know what? When he's on the field, he shows up for the Yankees.
Yeah, yeah. So don't worry. It's not a new thing. It's overblown. He's fine, meaning he can play through it like he did when he came back last year. I can't imagine having tennis elbow in both elbows. I had tennis elbow once, and it wasn't even from playing tennis, and it was really not fun at all.
It doesn't sound fun at all.
So I can't even imagine having it in both elbows. And, as for opening things, he makes enough money. He can have someone do it for him.
Yeah, yes, he can afford to have a chip bag opener. And again, by looking at his physique, I don't think he's sitting down and killing a bag of Doritos every Sunday.
Yeah, no, definitely not.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so now we'll really get into Fan Mail Friday, and our next question is from Betty. She says, so far, I'm pretty impressed with how ABS is working. Do you think it's going to impact how often Boone gets ejected? Could this be the new MLB treatment for high blood pressure?
I think it might have something to do with Boone getting ejected slightly less, just because you're taking the umpires out of the game more and more.
Yeah.
Which I'm a fan of. I'm a proponent of. The umpires have proven to me over the last, well, I guess decade plus that I've been watching baseball intently. The umpires have proven to me for long enough that they're incapable of doing their job sometimes, and a large percentage of them are incapable of doing their job. So I'm fine with ABS. I've never had a problem with it, and I don't think it's going to lead to a lot of Boone. I think the ejection thing is overblown too, to be honest with you, and not overblown to the point where Boone gets ejected a lot. He often leads the league in ejections. It's just I don't think him getting ejected does a lot for the team personally. I don't think it really rallies them. I don't think it means much. I don't know why Boone, that's the one time that he shows any kind of passion towards the club. I don't quite understand why it's a thing that's behind him, to be honest.
And last year he got ejected when he didn't even do anything.
Yeah, because he's gone to that reputation. Like the umpires know at this point. Like they don't even give him leeway anymore.
No.
He goes out and argues, they immediately throw him out. They're like, we're not dealing with this.
That one time someone from the crowd said something and they ejected him. He was like, I didn't even do anything.
You know what? I'll tell you this too. I valued it more when Girardi got ejected because Girardi got his pound of flesh. Like Girardi got what he was out there for. He made a point. He freaked out, but he made a point. When you start doing it like Boone, and it's so often as it is with Boone, it starts to lose its flair, right? Like
Girardi really got his money's worth, right?
Exactly. The umpires now don't care with Boone. They throw him out immediately. The players have seen this a million times, so they don't really get moved by it.
Yeah.
It doesn't have its same effect anymore. Boone keeps doing it like it does. When Girardi freaked out and got thrown out of the game, it had its effect. It had its impact because he rarely did it.
I'm thinking of the time in Fenway when Ryan Dempster threw at A-Rod 4 times and
Girardi lost his mind.
He lost it. I remember that night so vividly only because Kurt Schilling was in the booth, and even he said something against Ryan Dempster for doing that. Like, if you're gonna do it. What? Like, don't keep missing. Like, just.
But that is a rallying cry though. When you have a manager who doesn't often do that and then loses his mind,
and the Yankees ended up winning that game. They rallied and won that game. Yeah,
exactly. But when you're Aaron Boone and you do it 13 times a year, it loses its flair. The players start to see through that kind of stuff. So I think Betty, I would say that I think it's a little overblown. I don't think it's going to affect his getting thrown out of games pretty often. I don't.
Yeah.
Let's go to David F. David says, Reggie Jackson and Thurman Munson had a famously prickly relationship, yet they were the engine of those championship teams. Looking at the chemistry of the current roster, do you think this team has enough edge or healthy conflict to survive the pressure of a late 70s style New York media circus?
Well, there's not going to be the pressure of a late 70s
I think it's
media circus.
Can you give me a little education, please, on why the late 70s was such a media circus for the Yankees? Well, because I know of it, and I know why it was a big deal, and how they called the team the Bronx Zoo and stuff. I get that kind of stuff. What I'm confused is, how is it not worse now with social media?
It's not. I don't know why. Reggie Jackson's comments about being the straw that stirs the drink didn't help. So that really got the ball rolling with everything. And so the media pitted him against the rest of his teammates. And that kind of turned it into turmoil with the Yankees.
I think it was more internal conflict than it was media being difficult.
Yeah,
the media, you could debate right now, is more difficult than it's ever been with the amount of print and social media.
It's not, because like the guys back then, no offense to the reporters who were reporting back then, but
they asked gutsier questions.
They were a lot more obnoxious back then, like the 70s, the 60s, the 50s, the 40s, the 30s. The guys that held people out of the MVP race because, he was MVP last year, we're not going to vote for him again.
Mm-hmm.
you know,
I
where
get it.
yes, you have more exposure now. There's social media, there's video, there's this, there's that. You're talking to 50 billion people after a game is over, but it's really not the same, you know? And even in the 90s when the Yankees were winning all the time, there wasn't like a media circus and they didn't need any kind of conflict to win all those games. They just were good players.
I would say this. One of the things that I loved about the Yankees acquiring Josh Donaldson, and I didn't love them getting him, but I thought what he added to that clubhouse was a little bit of an edge. He was like the jerk in the room. And sometimes you need that. Sometimes you need a guy with a little bit of a, you know, where if you say the wrong thing to him, he's got a screw loose and he'll freak out. Sometimes you need that in the clubhouse. And I don't know if they currently have that right now.
No.
I'm trying to think of the player. I think it's right now it feels like it is with most of the Boone era. It's very kumbaya. It's very clubhouse. It's very country club atmosphere. Everyone's having a good time and living their life. I think there is value to having like a prickly dude in the room.
Well, I don't think country club attitude is fair because that makes it seem like everything is easy peasy and they're not really trying because they're just like relaxing because it's a country club atmosphere.
I wouldn't say that. I think there's a lack of accountability though in the clubhouse. I do, and I think it's been that way but I think the lack of accountability comes from the unwillingness to ever call a player out. Like there's never a threat of you know making a mistake in the field. And like I'm not saying you want guys walking around on eggshells.
When they're in their 6.5 week, 7 week swoon,
everything's
we'll
fine.
turn it around.
Yeah,
we'll
everything's
turn it
always
around.
fine.
It's
no
only
one
been
ever
2
gets
weeks.
called out.
We'll turn it around. Meanwhile, it's been like 2 months, and the fans are like, "Hello," like something.
And we don't want. And I'm not advocating for guys walking around on eggshells 24/7. But I do want guys to be a little afraid that hey, if I strike out here, I'm going to get called out in the media, or hey, if I make another error here, the manager's going to call me out. You don't have that anymore.
Well, that's
and
why
there are managers in the league who will do that.
But that's why it was refreshing when Aaron Judge came out and said, you know, I was watching this offseason and I was sitting back going, well, when are we going to do something? And I kind of want him to do that a little more this season when it comes to how the team's playing. Like he's not going to call anyone out, but I wish he would be like Jeter was because everyone talks about how, oh, you know, Jeter gave like canned answers and this and that. But every once in a while, if the team was in a slump, he would call the team out. Yeah. And say, look, we got to hit better. We got to pitch better. We have to do this better. Where they're always like, oh, it's hunky-dory. Everything's fine. We'll turn this around. They don't ever say anything bad. God forbid you say anything bad. It's okay every once in a while to call your teammates out, call yourself out and say, look, yeah, no, we're playing like crap right now and we really need to turn it around. Stanton sometimes does that, but the rest of them kind of.
For sure, Derek Jeter held those clubhouses accountable.
Oh, yeah.
They were held accountable. And I don't get that same sense out of the clubhouse currently. I don't.
I feel like Stanton would be the guy to do it. I don't feel like Judge would be. I think Judge leads by example, and I think Stanton would be the one to call people out and be like, dudes, we got to do better than this. Because they did say that, right? Wasn't there the closed door meeting that they had, and Stanton was the one that was like getting on everyone?
But again, it's the repeatedness of it, right? It's the fact that it's year after year after year, these things become stale sometimes. That's kind of our argument behind getting a new manager sometimes. It's you need a new voice in the room.
Right.
But yeah, I don't know the whole 1970s circus. I get it was a circus, but it could be just as bad in today's era. I think I'd agree with you. Reporters back then definitely had more of an edge to them. I guess no pun intended with the whole. Also, argument,
no offense, it was all men in the locker room.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't have women in the locker room, and the women aren't as brash as male reporters were back in the 70s, and even the male reporters now. No offense to them, but they're not like they were back in the 70s.
Yeah, you're
right.
They
just weren't.
I agree with you.
All right. Well, coming up next, we have more questions from our insiders and our everydayers.
Guys, MLB opening day is almost here, and you can just feel it. The fresh starts, the big expectations, and the first crack of the bat. Whether it's a breakout rookie or a divisional race that goes down to the wire, there's nothing like being in the ballpark for all of it. The only problem is getting tickets. It can feel like a grind. Long queues, surprise fees, prices jumping at the checkout. That's when there's Game Time. The Game Time app gives fans the advantage with constant innovation. It's how you unlock amazing tickets and experiences in just a few taps. It's simple to use. The Game Time guarantee means you get 100% authentic tickets delivered on time and at the best price possible. And here's the best part. The fees are included in the price that you see. What you see is what you pay, period. So take the guesswork out of buying Major League Baseball tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app today, create an account, and use code LOCKED ON for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDON for $20 off. Download the Gametime app today. We want to thank you guys for making Locked On Yankees your first listen of the day, and thank you for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. Guys, baseball is back, and you can lock in by joining the Everydayer Club, which gets you ad-free episodes and access to our group chat on Discord. Until the end of February, you can use the code SPRING for a free month. Just head over to lockedonyankees.supercast.com or click the QR code on our screen, or you can tap the link in our show notes. We continue along with Fan Mail Friday and our insider questions, and we start off with Alex Z, who says, "Hi guys, that Judge homer against Detroit was impressive when he turned on a fastball just like the Toronto playoff game. Has he learned how to add that to his arsenal? ABS should help Judge also this year. Jason Dominguez doesn't look like the Winter League right-handed hitting helped. His fielding has been okay. Might have let someone stretch and single into a double, but couldn't save for sure. Made a nice catch against Washington. Weathers looked great against a non-competitive National squad last night. Just some thoughts from spring training. Go Yankees." Well, I want to say the Nationals are not non-competitive, Stacey. That's a top 5 ranked team in the Grapefruit League. So the Nationals are competitive.
I would like to say that Alex C has been at spring training all week. They left the game the other day before the Yankees had their 9-run 8th inning. He left in the 6th.
That's a rough one.
He sent me a picture of his wife with Oswaldo Cabrera. They took a picture together. So I wasn't going to put it up because I didn't have her permission to do that, but I appreciate the picture, and I'm glad you guys are having a fun time down there.
I'm glad to hear that. Is really cool. I got to make it down for spring training one of these years. The fact that I haven't gone is just crazy.
The fact that I've gone and you haven't is kind of funny because it took me a while. I didn't go until I was 30. It took me.
Okay, well, I have 2 years. I have a year and a half, so I'm almost there then. Yeah, I just have never thought to do it, and I'm more of a world traveler than you. Actually, speaking of which, now that we're on the traveling conversation, I booked not booked officially, but I'm going to add stadium number 21 to my list this summer. Would you like to take a guess at which one I'm going to?
I don't know which ones you haven't been to.
San Francisco.
Ooh.
Yeah, which I hear is one of the nicer stadiums in all of baseball, so I'm very much looking forward to seeing that one.
Oh.
Yeah, so looking forward to that one. That's going to be a cool one. Not for Yankees Giants. I'm not going during opening day, but I'll be there in the summertime. Looking forward to it very much. I would say I don't think Judge necessarily added the inside pitch to his arsenal. I think it's always kind of been there. I just think, nothing that he does surprises me anymore. I think he gets better and better year by year. So I wouldn't say it's adding it to his arsenal. I think it's kind of always been there.
Did you see the video that MLB did with the guys passing the phone? Like Shohei Ohtani's like, I'm going to pass the phone to and I can't remember who it was before. Was it Tarek Skubal who said, I'm going to pass the phone to the best hitter in baseball? And it was Aaron. Yeah. I was like, hell yeah.
Yeah, it made me feel good. It was a nice one to see.
Mm-hmm.
I think, and there's a lot of things here. Jason Dominguez with the Winter League. I don't think me and Stacey ever really said that Dominguez was going to be, getting all of this fanfare from, or I guess positive notion from hitting in the Dominican League. I think it was the Yankees wanted to get him at bats and wanted to get him playing. I don't think we were expecting much out of getting at bats in the Dominican League. Remember, you're not seeing the same competition as you are in the major leagues anyway. So I don't know how productive it would have been for him regardless, to be honest.
Right. All right, our next question is from Evan. When do you think we'll see the first female MLB player take the field? What about the first female position player, parentheses, because I assume, perhaps mistakenly, the first will be a pitcher?
I will say this, and this is not to tear girls down by any means at all. I don't think it's ever happening in Major League Baseball. I just don't.
Minors, possibly.
Yeah, it's happened before.
But I think it's more likely for them to make the minor leagues, but I don't think so either, because that would be really, really difficult.
Yeah, it's just, and face it, men's and women's sports are different. They're played at different speeds and they're different games, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that, but they're different games. And if you do have a hunger for women playing baseball, there is good news, because the Women's Professional Baseball League actually launches this year. August 1st of 2026 is opening day for the Women's Professional Baseball League. So if you have a hunger for seeing women's baseball, you're going to get it literally in August this year. It was actually co-founded, and there's teams already that are going to be in New York, Boston, LA, and San Francisco. They're going to play a 7-week season for their first year. So if you have a hunger for it, that's good. And if that league takes off, it's got a real opportunity. If they don't play baseball in 2027, and that's the only baseball available, that women's professional league is going to have a really good opportunity on their hands to be the only baseball that we have access to seeing. So who knows? We could be locked on WPBL New York.
Yeah, I would do it.
Yeah, we can cover them. So,
yeah.
I don't know if you're going to see it in Major League Baseball. I don't think you're going to see a woman playing on the Yankees at any time, but there's going to be a women's professional baseball league. And this is not the argument that I've heard a million times. Well, women have softball, men have, nope, this is a women's baseball league. So if you have a hunger for it, which I think a lot of us do, you're going to get to see that full time. That's going to be really cool. Let's go to Chris F., who says, Fan Mail Friday question. Hey guys, how's it going? With the excitement of the start of the WBC fast approaching, who do you predict are your final 4 teams? Japan and US, obviously I can agree in the finals, but predict the score and finals MVP. As always, let's go Yankees, and I love the pod. Well, thank you for your support. I want to see if you can give me one more unconventional final 4. I think we have a final 3. I don't think that the third is hard to figure out either.
Dominican Republic.
Yeah, I think it's US, Japan, DR. Dominican Republic's team is stacked, by the way. They're really good. I want to see if me and you can come up with a team that's, I guess, an underdog, not really thought of kind of team here, because I feel like we're all picking Dominican Republic, US, and Japan.
Venezuela?
There is a team, and I think it might be Venezuela or Colombia. Colombia's got decent odds too. But I think those are good. I don't think Puerto Rico is going to be able to make a run this year just because they're losing too many players now with the insurance, and they've already lost Lindor, a good amount of guys. I don't hate Venezuela. I think that's a good one. I don't know is Gleyber playing. I think he is.
I think so. I'm not sure.
But yeah,
that's
a good one. Venezuela. Yeah. So I'm going to go Venezuela, DR, US, Japan. And I think the final will be US and Japan. Do you have a dark horse for who your MVP will be?
Paul Goldschmidt.
Wow. Okay. That's a juicy one.
Just because he keeps hitting home runs.
I'm going to go Paul Skeens. I think not being in a contract year, and I think the Pirates being able to benefit off his stardom in the WBC, I think he's going to want to be out there and throwing a gem. So I think in the final game, Paul Skeens mows down the Japanese hitters.
All right, well, that does it for our insider questions. Our next question is from Kevin Sweeney, who is an everydayer. He says, hi, for 2027, if there's a lockout, I plan to write a book about the history of work stoppages. There have been a lot of them. Is this a good idea, in your opinion?
I've never written a book, so I couldn't give you advice on whether or not it's a good idea. It sounds unbelievably difficult to write a book, to be honest with you. What are we talking? Work stoppages in sports, work stoppages in baseball, work stoppages of all time?
Yeah.
I mean, there's been union strikes.
I would assume it's work stoppages in baseball, which there have been quite a few. You know,
there's
some that
one a couple of years ago.
Yeah, there's some that didn't last too long. Then there's some that did last
94.
long. Yeah. I mean, why not? I've written a book chapter. Does that count?
I think you could honestly write. I think you could write a book on the 94 strike. Just on that strike in general. Think about what that strike means to the history of the sport, right? I mean, you can blame that strike.
Someone's done that, right?
I can only imagine. I mean, there's a documentary that just came out on the Montreal Expos on I believe it's on Netflix. Is like crediting the strike to them losing the team, which honestly probably is true. Like,
it's definitely true.
They were in first place at the time. Like they could have won the World Series. They probably would have played the Yankees in the World Series when the strike happened. So Derek Jeter would have been called up in 1994 more than likely. He saw Jeter playing. Like there's a million storylines behind that strike. Plus, coming out of that strike, you basically have the steroid era kind of kicking up right after that strike, which kind of contributed to baseball getting its second wave of interest. So, but along with the Yankee dynasty, so like there's a lot that goes behind that strike in particular. You could write a book on just the 94 strike, to be honest with you, if you really wanted to.
All right, coming up, we have one more everydayer question and news from around the league.
Workplace chaos, deadlines stacking up, inboxes overflowing, and the one position that you have to fill still sitting open. When the pressure's on and you need the right hire, this is a job for sponsored jobs. Indeed, sponsored jobs helps you reach the people who actually fit what you're looking for, the skills, experience, and location, so you're not just hoping for the right candidate that will stumble across your post. Spend less time searching and more time actually interviewing candidates who check all of your boxes. Less stress, less time, more results. When you need the right person to cut through the chaos, this is a job for Indeed sponsored jobs. Listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to help get your job the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. Just go to Indeed.com/podcast right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on Locked On Yankees. Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? This is a job for Indeed sponsored jobs. Stacey, we have one more everydayer question and some really interesting news from around the league, including a guy with one of the most embarrassing injuries we've ever seen. Let's go to Tom Langen first, who says, I'm holding on to a thread of hope for Volpe, and I think of Bernie Williams' first 4 years. His numbers weren't great and nowhere near what they became for the next 7 or 8 years. Volpe may be worse, but offense in general is way lower than it is back then. Can you think of any players who turned it around to become someone special after a rough first 4 years? Any player, any team, and Bernie is someone special in my book. Trying to think.
4 years, because 4 years is a long time to have a rough start. You know what I mean?
And honestly, that's more than half of your rookie contract, and most teams are giving up on you by then. Right. Not fair or not is a different argument. Most teams are giving up on you by then.
Like, they were good with Bernie because the team was building its way back, because he first came up pretty early and the team was starting to turn things around from the awful 1990 season. So he had the leeway to be not that great because the team wasn't that great. And then once they started getting better, he started getting better. And then he became the Bernie Williams that we all know and love.
I'll say this, and I don't know if it's not a total comp because the guy wasn't a bad baseball player, but it's an example of a team not believing in him quick enough and what he became. Chris Sale, when he was a Chicago White Sox. Now, he had good years with the White Sox, but he wasn't the stud that he became in Boston. He wasn't the World Series winner in Boston. And remember, Boston made the big trade. Yoan Moncada was in that deal. And they moved him and Chris Sale went to Boston, and Chicago didn't think Sale, they thought he had peaked. And what he was a good, probably number 2, number 3 when he peaked with Chicago. And then he went to Boston and was an ace and was one of the best pitchers in baseball for a couple of years. Something similar to that. And I'm not putting Anthony Volpe on the same level as Chris Sale with the White Sox. He hasn't been that good at all. But it's kind of a similar thing where in the rookie contract, the pro club didn't necessarily believe in him wholeheartedly. The White Sox tried to move on before it was too late, and it wound up biting them. So that's kind of a sort of example of something that comes to the top of my head right now. But there's not a lot of guys after 4 years, Stacey, when you don't perform, that the team sticks with you and they turn it around.
Right. So let's move to some news from around the league because this is adorable.
Yeah.
So apparently Max Scherzer's daughter wrote a letter to the Blue Jays asking them to re-sign her father. They put it in an envelope. I'm not sure if they ever sent it to the Blue Jays. I think they may have made her think that they sent it to the Blue Jays, but this is what it said. Dear Blue Jays, I'm so sorry that you didn't win the World Series. I hope that you win next time. I hope my dad is back on the team. My whole family loves spending time in Toronto with our dad. We love the aquarium, CN Tower, and of course the stadium. I'm looking forward to coming back next season. Love, Max Scherzer's daughter.
That's fantastic. Scherzer, it did work because Scherzer signed a 1-year deal for $3 million. It has the potential to get to $13 million, which is pretty cool. The deal includes $1 million in bonuses, and that starts at 65 innings pitched. Get this. For every 10 innings after, he makes $155,000.
Nice.
For every 10 innings after. So Scherzer, pretty nice deal. He is very old, but it's pretty cool to see him returning as a 41-year-old to pitch for the Blue Jays and give him a chance to finally get another World Series.
The aquarium does look pretty cool, though, I have to say.
I've been there. It's very cool. Yeah. Very cool. I've been there. Yeah. You can buy a very overpriced ticket that combines that and the Space Needle.
Oh, nice. CN Tower. Space Needle is Seattle.
It's in Seattle, correct. The CN Tower. It is very expensive, though, so be prepared to open up the wallets for that.
Yeah.
How about this? Tom Glavine's son, Peyton, has signed with the Braves. Peyton is such a 2000s name, I feel. People started.
He was born in 1999, so right around.
Wow. What an old prospect. Mm-hmm. So yeah, he signed with the Braves. That is a pretty cool signing. And the Mets are going to make Jorge Polanco take a crash course in playing first base. He's only played it once in his major league career, and it was an emergency start that he had with Seattle. That's a little, don't love that in spring training at this time of the year.
Well,
like right now.
He said, and as we always say, everybody says first base is easy, but it's harder than what you would expect. But this is the perfect time for me to get ready.
He's right, but he is right on many ends there. A, this is the perfect time to get ready. That's why they have spring training. But B, it's not easy. It's not as easy as people may, when people, every time we get a comment, and we get them a lot, why not just move Judge to first? It's not as easy as just stand there and catch the ball.
There's a lot of footwork involved with playing first base. You see guys, you see good first basemen occasionally screw up their footwork, missing the base or not getting there in time and doing things. So it's really not as easy as everyone says.
At all. We talked about embarrassing injuries. It was either yesterday or the day before that keep you out for a long amount of time, and it got beat almost immediately. We've had a more embarrassing injury. Now, what is the most embarrassing injury that you've had before? Have you ever had like a really bad one where you honestly don't want to tell people what happened?
No, I told people I threw my back out blow drying my hair.
Yeah, that's a brutal one. That's a bad one.
Because I bent over to blow, to make it volumized, and I got stuck.
I broke a lamp in my house once, and I really hurt my tailbone by trying to show my friends a spin move in an NFL video game that I thought was able to be made. I tried to make that move through a hallway in my house and slipped and hurt my tailbone and broke the lamp. So that's an embarrassing one. I think both of us don't beat Padres pitcher Matt Waldron. He is going to be out indefinitely with what the Padres are classifying as, quote, an infection in his rear end. So he has hemorrhoids that got infected that he needs surgically repaired. So not good, but it's a bad injury.
That's bad.
That's brutal.
Oh, yeah. Matt, I'm so sorry. Oh,
you don't want the old butt infection. It's not good. So prayers up for Matt Waldron. Hopefully he gets back soon.
Because that's not an easy. I had a family member had to get really extensive hemorrhoid surgery, and it's not an easy surgery for you to go through.
I feel like laying down post-op has got to be a rough one.
Yeah, you got to be on your side. You can't.
Yeah, not fun.
And sitting is impossible. You have to use one of those hemorrhoid pillows.
Yeah, not enjoyable. So Matt Waldron will be using one of those.
Yeah, my dad had an issue with hemorrhoids back in the 80s, and he had a little red. It almost looked like a whoopee cushion, but it was red, and it was a little inner tube that he had to sit on for like weeks. And I thought it was the funniest thing. I was like 6 or 7 years old when that happened. I didn't know what a hemorrhoid was, but I thought it was hilarious.
It's actually a bad injury though. He's been hospitalized for multiple days.
Oof.
So it's not a good injury, but I do love the report from the Padres as infection in the rear end. It's a good one. Rough.
Yeah.
Rough. Not good.
What a note to end on.
Hey, short for content. We're getting closer and closer to opening day.
If you stuck around this long, leave a peach emoji in the comments.
Yes.
All right.
Keep your butt clean.
Yeah. Well, you can also get them from doing that too much. I just want to say.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
PSA.
It's a PSA. All right. Thanks for tuning in to Locked On Yankees and Locked On Hemorrhoids. Make sure you subscribe and follow Locked On Yankees so you get all the latest updates. Oh boy. You can follow us on Instagram at Locked On Yankees, all one word, at TikTok, LockedOn_Yankees. And if you never miss an episode, the Everydayer Club is for you. You get ad-free Locked On Yankees episodes. You can join our members only Discord and you get access to it, which is cool. And you get a lot more, including merch, which is pretty cool. So join us now, lockedonyankees.supercast.com. If you're watching us on... Oh, yes.
Also, follow us on social media on our Instagram and TikTok. We post a lot of shorts from the show. Last week, we had our Bryce Harper short that went viral and has like almost 10,000 views at this point. So, yeah, crazy stuff. So, if you guys want, go follow me on Instagram. You'll get more of the shorts content over there, too. And the Everydayer Club's got even more than that.
Yep. So if you're watching us on YouTube, head over to the first ever 24/7 Locked On Podcast Network channel. If you're listening on audio, make sure that you make Locked On MLB with Sully your second listen. So that'll do it for this edition of Locked On Yankees. I'm Stacey Gotsulias.
And I'm Brian McKeon. We'll catch you guys next week.